Colleagues and my dear students, we are in the lesson 17th one, the independent India in the first 30 years in between 1947 to 1977. Today, in the fourth part, we shall complete the last part, that was Jayaprakash Narayanan movement and emergency. In the last classes, we discussed how Jawaharlal Nehru and Lal Bahadur Shastri drove the nation towards social and economic development, and also how they faced the internal and external challenges, how they respected the social movements by the people. So today we shall discuss the era of Indira Gandhi, how Indira Gandhi drove the nation towards development and how she faced. We already discussed in the last class how she faced the challenges, and today we shall discuss how she respect the social movements, how she dealt with those movements. And before that, we shall discuss some of the important learning outcomes, what we are expecting from you after the completion of class. By the completion of class, we are expecting you will be able to comment on a program called as Garibi Hatao, and you will be able to analyze the gap between legislature and judiciary, which occurred in 1970s, and you will be able to identify reasons for the growth of Jayaprakash Narayanan movement, and you will be able to express opinion on emergency, and you will be able to express your opinions and positive and negative opinions on emergency. As we discussed earlier in the last class, Congress went to 1967 Lok Sabha elections under the leadership of Indira Gandhi, and Congress got very less majority. After that, Indira Gandhi tried to get control over Congress party, but due to the less majority and the different political situation in different parts of the country, she was unable to get complete control, and some of the defectors they jumped into different political parties, and she also faced different challenges, and she tried to overcome important crises like war with Pakistan on the issue of Bangladesh in that process. So by 1970-71, Indira Gandhi was aimed to get control over her party, and she tried to establish as the one of the important figure in Indian politics also. So for that, she tried to utilize the elections as its forum to get control. Actually, the elections has to be held in the year 1972, as the before elections held in 1967, the term is 5 years, so the next elections has to be held in 1972. But Indira Gandhi called for elections 1 year before, in the year 1971 itself, because she wanted to prove herself. So Indira Gandhi, to get into elections, she tried to introduce new programs and new policies to get control over her party. Congress party went to elections with different strategies. One of the strategy was they gave a slogan, Garibi Hatao. We discussed yesterday, removal of poverty. With that slogan, Congress party went to elections. It became the one of the powerful slogan in the political history of India. Not only the slogan of Garibi Hatao, Indira Gandhi promised the poorer and marginal sections that she will restructure the total system if she get win in elections, because already the people all over the country were dissatisfied with the rule of Congress party for the last 20 years, because they did not gained by the economic and social reforms introduced. So that's why Indira Gandhi gave a new promise that she will restructure the total system for the benefit of poorer and marginal sections. Naturally, the people were attracted towards these slogans, and she won with a record margin. Almost all Indira Gandhi and Congress party got more than 400 seats. That was too vast variation between 1967 and 1971 elections, where she got only 284 seats in 1967 elections. She got more than 400 seats in 1971 elections. Opposition parties became very nominal after that, after the elections. One side results, and another side, as she won war against Pakistan on the issue of Bangladesh, as she got victory. Two incidents raised the popularity of Indira Gandhi in the Indian politics. She also became the one of the important national icon. Next, with the effect of these two, the win in parliament elections and win in the war against Pakistan, that impacted on the state elections in the year 1972 also, where Congress party lost most of the states during 1967 elections. Congress party won majority states in 1972 with the influence of Indira Gandhi. Automatically, Indira Gandhi got complete control over party and over the government. So the instances and the incidents tell us that Indira Gandhi tried to establish as a national figure. For that, she went into elections 1 year before, only after the completion of, before the completion of 5 years. And instead of implementation of policies, the Congress party slowly diverted towards the try to attract the people through the powerful slogans. In that process, she gave the slogan Garibi Hatao. As elections completed and Congress won the majority, Indira Gandhi became Prime Minister again. The new government took immediate decisions, and it passed legislations for the socio-economic transformations as Congress party gave promises to the people. Some of the important legislations: the government nationalized private banks and abolished princely pensions. Princely pensions means while the accessing of princely states into Indian Union, the then government promised pensions to the princes of those particular states. But Indira Gandhi in the year 1971, she abolished the princely pensions. So automatically the affectors, the people who were affected by nationalization of private banks and abolition of princely pensions, they challenged the decisions of the government in courts. But Indira Gandhi she thought that the courts were coming in the way of the political goals. The courts were obstructing her decisions. She thought it was not possible to achieve those such goals and to achieve social and economic transformation. At the same time, the view of the courts were that the courts were afraid about the changes to the constitution, and the courts thought that, and they were afraid that this led to the amending the constitution might lead to unbalancing the relationship between the different institutional structures. Means it might lead to the unbalance between the legislature and the judiciary system. So, as per the view of government and for the courts, the gap and the communication gap, the gap between the ideas was increased. So, in that process, in the year 1973, Supreme Court announced a landmark decision that no government or no legislature could not disturb the main structure of the constitution, basic structure of the constitution. So the Supreme Court put a check to the government's power to amend the constitution. Means though the government, the legislation was amending the constitution, but Supreme Court put some check or put some regulations to amend the constitution. Means simply we can say the Supreme Court put some limitations to the governments or legislatures to amend the constitution. Because go on, when the governments has majority in legislature, if they amend constitution in that process, it may disturb the basic structure of the constitution. So that's why Supreme Court gave landmark decision, and it limited the amendments to the constitution by the legislature. So in that process, Indira Gandhi thought it was difficult to fulfill the promises. Why? Because she promised about she will achieve social and economic transformation. She will remove the poverty. So for that, she expected to take some radical decisions, but the courts were limited. They put some limitations to their power. So that was the situation, and that led to the some gap between legislature, executive, and the judiciary system. While little bit friction was going on, continued in between legislature and judiciary, Indira Gandhi tried to overcome these such problems. As she was enjoying the majority, and politics became cakewalk for Indira Gandhi during that particular time. But her fate was reversed, and coincidence completely changed the economic conditions by the year 1973. A war was held raised in between Arab nations and Israel. So that impacted on the oil imports to India. So automatically, due to the scarcity of oil reserves, the prices of oil were increased to the all-time high. As we know, the oil prices influence the prices of different essential goods and all. So automatically this led to the inflation. Inflation hit India, and that led to the rise in prices of all essential items. So this directly affected on the common people. Next, the people faced the scarcity of food and increase in unemployment also. So these all things, rise in prices, scarcity of food, increase in unemployment, led to the unhappy among the people. Within 2 years of time, as Indira Gandhi got the largest majority, but her fate got reversed. So due to the conditions which were not in her hands, not in her control, but that led to the reversing of economic conditions, that led to unhappiness among the people. As we discussed, though the opposition parties were very minor in parliament, but they got consolidated, and they combinedly organized a series of campaigns, protests against the failure of government in raising of prices, failure in providing employment, and other problems. Particularly in North India, these opposition party movement were organized and consolidated by under the leadership of Jayaprakash Narayanan, a socialist, and these opposition parties, they organized a series of protest campaigns all over India against Congress and Indira Gandhi. Particularly, this Jayaprakash Narayanan movement became prominent in Bihar and Gujarat, and in other parts of the country also. The protests were led by Communists and Swatantra Party and such parties in West Bengal, Kerala. The movements became very severe. So at that particular time, instead of overcoming those challenges, to try to overcome the crisis, the government reacted harshly. Government acted in different way. The government enacted series of laws, and they violated civil rights on the name of maintaining of law and order. On the name of maintaining law and order, the government violated civil rights, and the government enacted different laws and try to repress the situation, try to repress the movement very harshly. So automatically the opposition and their movement became valid, and it became increased. The opposition criticized Indira Gandhi personally. So became the movement spreaded into it became a national wide movement. If you observe, when such type of movements, social movements took place in different parts of the country under the leadership of Jawaharlal Nehru or Lal Bahadur Shastri, they tried to overcome the challenge, and they made a series of negotiations, series of talks, and they tried to understand the problem from the view of other side. So in such a way, they overcome the challenges. For example, state reorganization act, movement against the state reorganization on the basis of language. Next one, anti-Hindi movement. Such serious and critical challenges were smoothly dealt by Jawaharlal Nehru and Lal Bahadur Shastri. But Indira Gandhi, instead of dealing the issue smoothly, she tried to deal with harsh and another important thing, violated civil rights. Civil rights were not provided to the people. They reacted harshly on the people on the name of maintaining law and order. This led to the increase of discontent among the people. It led to the increasing of unhappy among the people. At that point of time, as the social movement was growing day by day, she was hit by another blow. Allahabad High Court, it gave a judgment that Indira Gandhi was unseated from Lok Sabha. She was not eligible to be as a member of Lok Sabha, as she violating the election provisions in the 1971 elections. As per the Allahabad High Court judgment, she was unseated from Lok Sabha. This was big blow to Indira Gandhi. But immediately she went to Supreme Court and she got stay from the judgment of Allahabad High Court. At the same time, it became the advantage to the social movement which grown in all parts of the country, which was Jayaprakash Narayan movement, and it gained strength due to the ineligibility of Indira Gandhi. So that movement was growing day by day. So in that conditions, in that crucial times, one side gap with friction with judiciary system, another side external causes, rise in prices, shortfall in food, inflationary conditions, another side social movement by the opposition parties. So surrounded by these all, she thought to overcome these all, to face all these challenges. Government imposed emergency condition. Emergency means suspension of democracy, suspension of legislature. All the powers will be delegated to the president, means nothing but indirectly to the government. The legislature means parliament will not be in act. So it took that particular decision, and the government justified the decision of imposition of emergency as necessary to preserve law and order in the country against the social movement. And it justified it was necessary to preserve national integrity, to preserve or to save democracy. It was necessary to impose emergency. In that way, Indira Gandhi and the government justified their decision. Democracy was put on hold means the people lost all the rights of the people were suspended. That means important rights, the right to speech, right to criticize, right to protest. These all rights were suspended. Government took repressive measures. It tried to repress the movement. Fundamental rights were suspended. Better right to life, right to whatever may be the fundamental rights, they were suspended. Legislature, the representatives, the House of People's representatives were suspended. All the powers were transferred to president, I think indirectly to the government. Some instances that took place during emergency was arbitrary detention or arrest of the person. Means as per the emergency conditions, the police can arrest anybody. By taking that as advantage, the government arrested the important opposition leaders who were leading the social movement, and the arbitrary detention or arrest, and they tortured the leaders. And not only this, and they violated all civil rights, and they tried to suppress the movements by torturing and arresting and detaining the leaders, key and important leaders. And they detained and arrested the important persons who were raising their voice on behalf of the people, and they tried to repress the newspapers who are publishing the news in favor of people and in against the government. So in such a way, the emergency conditions created a terrific situation throughout the nation. This was first time the people experienced and they evidenced such undemocratic way of life after independence, and they did not evidence such undemocratic way of life even during the times of British rule also. So instead of suppressing the movement, the social movement became grown more and more day by day. During the time of emergency, government took some decisions. Some decisions were welcomed by the people. At the same time, some became unpopular. For example, government put control over the price rise, and it campaigned against the black marketing. It tried to suppress the black marketing, and it also abolished the bonded labor. These initiations by the government were welcomed by the people, as directly they were influenced by these decisions. But some programs taken by the government became unpopular. For example, demolition of slums, because in urban area constructed their houses, they stayed houses near slums, as they have no alternative. But the government demolished slums to make the cities as beautiful, but that directly affected on the poor people. Next, and another important thing to unpopularize the government was the forced sterilization in the name of population control. Instead of campaigning against the population control, it forcibly sterilized the people to control the population. That gave the unpopular to the government. But though the people were dissatisfied with these decisions, but they could not express their discontent, their unhappy, because all their fundamental rights and civil rights were suspended. So in that process, though they were unable to express their discontent, but the unhappiness, the anger against the government was growing day by day. During the times of emergency itself, government made amendment to the Indian Constitution, which was called as 42nd Amendment. Important highlights in this amendment were excluding courts from the election disputes. Means as per this amendment to the Constitution, judiciary cannot interfere in the election disputes. Next, strengthening the central government. Actually, India was a union of states. Constitution gave equal priority to both states and central government. But as per the 42nd Amendment, they amended the constitution as towards to strengthen the central government. Next, another important amendment was it protected the socio-economic transformation legislations. Means the legislative decisions taken by the parliament regarding the socio-economic transformation, they cannot be reviewed by the judiciary system. That was the one of the important amendment. Next, making judiciary subservient to the parliament. Actually, in Indian system, the legislature and the judiciary system has their own independence and their importance. But by the 42nd Amendment, due to the amendments as the non-interference of judiciary system in 2 to 3 instances, the judiciary became in one way subservient to the parliament. That was the negative aspect. But in reality, as the government tried to amend the constitution in a positive way to to drive the nation towards socio-economic transformation, to overcome the hurdles, government amended the constitution. But in reality, the amendments weaken the democratic fiber, means the democratic flavor of the country. Means the central government became stronger, and constitution slowly the governments after this they try to amend the constitution more and more times. By 2020, its constitution was amended more than 102 to 103 times. So in that way, as the Supreme Court gave judgment, the basic structure of the constitution could not be amended, but the governments made attempts to amend more and more times. Okay, once we shall recall and review what important concepts we learnt in this particular lesson. We shall sum up. The first 30 years ended with emergency. As we discussed from the first class, the independent India, it started with the emergence of democratic system. But the first 30 years ended with the suspension of democracy, means imposition of emergency. If we assess the total work of a system, independent Indian government system, the work assessment, we can conclude it has more achievements than the failures. We can discuss, we can highlight the things, important things were establishment of democracy was the important success of the independent Indian system. Stable democracy, that we can tell. Emergence of multi-party system. The emergence of multi-party system strengthened our democracy. Means conducting of elections on regular intervals. If any party and any individual can contest in the elections, they can elect to the legislatures at central level or state level. Regular, free and fair elections. Genuine change of governments. Governments did not change through the forcible methods like in other nations. In India, the governments were changed on the basis of election results. Next, the system or the constitution guaranteed the people's civil rights. The people can speak, they can criticize the government, and they have right to vote. Political rights were given, like that. And another important achievement of Indian democratic system was independent institutions were established. which were not under the control of legislation or government. For example, election commission. The main success of the democracy percentage, the role of the election commission was more, because election commission was independent. It won't be influenced by the government. So it conducts elections. If it conducts elections in a free and fair manner, the elected party or group of parties will come to the power. Next one, controller and auditor general, which assess the expenditure of the government. Next one is independent judiciary, which will review the decisions of the governments. Were the decisions were prescribed to within the limitations of constitution or not. These independent institutions were one of the important cause for the success of Indian democracy. Next, bureaucratic neutrality. Government decides or government act as per the policies of their own party. Opponent parties act per their own policies. But bureaucratic setup, officers, employees, and this bureaucratic neutrality, they won't work as in favor of opposition party or in favor of the ruling party. The bureaucratic neutrality also became the success for democracy. Next, civil control over armed forces. Armed forces are not independent organ in India, either army, navy or air force. They should be obey the orders of the civil government. They cannot act on their own. Next, maintenance of unity and integrity. Our Indian democratic system governments gave importance for the unity and integrity of the nation. So these are some of the important achievements in the first 30 years of the independent India. And some other achievements of the independent India were set up planning commission. Planning commission was set up for the planning development, micro level development in the underdevelopment areas and the deprived sections. It was aimed for the balanced regional development, as development was not even in different parts of the country. The government and independent India concentrated on the balanced regional development, and it concerned for socio-economic deprived sections. The development was not even regionally, at the same time not even regarding the different sections. Some sections were deprived socially, economically, politically. So government and the independent India showed concern for the development of such socio-economic development of such sections. Next, it achieved the self-sufficient in food production. That was the one of the important achievement. If we discuss about some of the failures, governments and independent India, it concentrated on the balanced regional development, but it did not work up to the mark. It did not achieve the balanced regional development, and even development of the deprived sections also. Still, they were, and most of the deprived sections, the people under the deprived sections were under poverty. Employment opportunities did not increase as much as expected. The employment opportunities were not increased, and low priority has given to primary education and health. This was the important failure of the independent India. And independent India and the governments did not put some base for the achieving primary education and health. We are facing problems still today because of the less concentration by the early governments on primary education and health. That was the main hurdle for the lacking of development in India. Next, social discrimination was continued after the 30 years of the independence. Gender discrimination also continued. But we can assess out of these achievements and failures. If we assess the total work of the 30 years independent India, we had experienced more achievements than the failures. So that was the important concepts that we learnt in the lesson. So I hope you all learnt these concepts in good. With this, I will conclude my lesson. Thank you. Thank you.